Lori Williams is a political science professor at Mount Royal University, and she joins us now from Calgary. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, it's good to be with you.
All right, so that bombshell that Andrew dropped on Thursday was very interesting. Well, obviously the Conservatives did not win the election, but all throughout November, Scheer was unabashedly telling people everywhere that he had no plans of going anywhere. And he was telling the naysayers, I'm staying right where I am. He also fired a few people from his team. So this news on Thursday, I think, shocked a lot of people. So do you think he was pushed or did he jump?
I don't think there's any question he was pushed, but in a sense, there's a mercy to this. He can sort of claim that this was certain people that were not supporting him, and the leadership or trying to contest the leadership or retain the leadership was just too difficult. Going forward, it gives him sort of a soft out rather than, let's say, in April being voted against essentially and starting the race at that point. Mm-hmm. Because the reality is it looked pretty inevitable that there would be a vote for a leadership review. Or perhaps more to the point, he needed more than half the party on his side. A 50% plus one vote simply wouldn't have been enough for him to contest the next election. So it's odd to me that wasn't something that was clear to him, and it's increasingly evident that it wasn't clear to him. Mm-hmm. Apparently, this pollster who gave information indicating that he could not sustain support as leader came as a surprise to him. But now he's out. He's not going to be humiliated. The obituaries are very sweet and nice now with respect to him, and the party can get on to the very difficult task of trying to unify the disparate elements of the party.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was also revealed that he was using some of his party's money to pay for the private school for 5 of his children. Now, this is the 3rd time that he's had a transparency issue. Of course, the first time was with the citizenship. Then there was a concern over him being a licensed insurance broker. So do you think Andrew Scheer was not who he presented himself to be?
Well, I mean, sometimes people are not particularly forthcoming with information, and it doesn't hurt them because it's not part of their brand to be sort of a person of integrity, and they're not trying to attack others for lacking it. In the case of Andrew Scheer, he was trying to portray himself as somebody who was a person of integrity, who could be a better leader on that count than Justin Trudeau. And so any questions about whether he's being completely open and forthcoming creates problems. But it's not just the transparency part of this. It's that it was quite clear that they knew this was going to be a liability, and so they didn't even reveal it to the deputy leader, Lisa Raitt. I think rank and file supporters, I actually think this is going to hurt their fundraising for the near term because people don't feel good about the fact that they're giving their hard-earned money, people who are sending their children to public schools, who are experiencing cuts in places like Ontario and Alberta, experiencing cuts in public education, and subsidizing the leaders' privilege of sending their children to a private school. I mean, what does this say about support for public education? There are all kinds of questions about this that are more. It's not just about the lack of transparency. It's about apparent elitism and actually hiding something that everybody must have known would be a liability if it were made public.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, we're almost out of time, but I want to ask you, okay, so of course the Conservatives now have to look for another leader. There are lots of names being tossed about: O'Toole, Ambrose, McKay. What do you think the Conservative Party should be looking for in their next leader?
It's a tall order. They need a leader who can somehow reach across these divisions within the party, between the social conservatives and the moderates, between the people that are sort of more focused on central Canada, those who want to build on the base in Alberta, divisions between those who supported different candidates for leadership. There are a lot of deep divisions in the party that are going to have to be healed. It's going to take an extraordinary leader to do that. So the internal sort of unification within the party, reaching across to try to expand the base of the party across the country. And they're also going to have to be a very credible leader on the international front, someone who can deal with the United States and some of the changes that are happening daily there, with the UK, particularly now that it looks like Brexit is going forward, with the EU, with Asian markets. This is and with China, of course, with the issues going on there. It's going to require somebody with serious gravitas at the international level as well.
All right, well, we're going to have to leave it there. From Calgary, Lori Williams, political science professor at Mount Royal University. Thank you so much.